Hey, everybody, it's Melinda Russell with Let's Talk Racing. And I'm sitting here with my co host, Brett Timmerman.
How's it going, guys?
So, Brett's in Wapello, Iowa. I'm in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And we actually got to see each other last week, not for very long because he was super busy. He was being the race dad, but it was still fun. I got to go to English Creek and see a lot of the kids that I had met last year and see Brett and his family and watch the racing. The racing was amazing. I just can't believe some of those little kids that get in those carts and they just zip around that track. It's so fun. And Brett, there were so many people there. So why don't we start by you telling us, because you were there way more than I was. Talk about English Creek, what happened, how many cars there were. Just give us the scoop.
Yeah, so Sunday I rolled into English Creek and it was already a packed house, like in the pits that aren't reserved. So uh, I knew it was going to be a good turnout. I mean, I think last year they had like 170 carts, and then so it was, Monday was the race day, but about halfway through the day Monday, the count kept going up. They ended up with a 200, I think it was 201 carts to race for the 2 day show, which
Mhm.
it's double what they normally get on a weekly show. So, but they rolled through it smoothly. I mean, the races weren't over that late. I mean, it was they do heat races on the Monday and qualifying, and then all the main shows on Tuesday. But it was that, like you said, there is a bunch of kids. Like you walk around the pits and you see kids that are knee high to you,
Mhm.
getting ready to get in a race car, all walking around in their driver suits, and I just love seeing that. And I think I counted there was 35 girls racing out of the 200, which is neat to see. And um, quite a few made the A mains. A lot of them didn't, but uh, it was a good time. We didn't have the best luck. Sunday we rolled in. I had a new cart come from California, and I had to put it together from the ground up on Sunday.
Mm.
And it was 95 degrees with no wind, and I was building this cart outside at the track. And uh, I don't know if I going into details or we can talk about other thing, but
Go ahead, talk. Let's talk about it because people don't understand some of them what it takes to get your daughter on the track. So go ahead and share about it.
yeah. So like I said, Sunday it was a ground up build for the cart, and then uh, Monday the guy that owns the Ignite Outlaw cart chassis, he flew in and we scaled Adriana in her cart, got her where we needed to be. Uh, Went out for qualifying. She didn't qualify the best. Got like 24 out of 30, which brand new cart wasn't working the way she wanted. We just kept working with it, and we had B main. She started 13th, I believe, and ended up seventh, and they took four. So that didn't work too well in our favor, and we raced six days in a row last week, and I lived in our enclosed trailer for four of those. We lived in the camper, two of them, but uh, we went. We left Tuesday or left Wednesday morning. Went to exit 7 in Kelowna, Illinois. She ended up winning that night, which she was running second, gaining. She was catching the leader, and the leader ended up with a flat tire, which put her in the lead. So it was kind of a given to us, but you have to be in that position to be there when that something
Right.
happens. That was a plus for the Ignite cart, and he was happy to see us get a win. So then night two of Kelowna, we ran good in the heat race. I think she ended up second in the heat race, and then we started fourth in the feature, and she was catching the leader again. And then there was a late yellow with 3 laps to go, and for some reason the flagman decided to start the race when nobody was ready, and the leader was a quarter of a track ahead when they started, so she couldn't catch him with 3 laps left. So she finished second, which it would have been a good race if it would have started.
Yeah.
So then that ended the Kelowna trip. We moved from there to Viola, Illinois, which was another 2 day show. And she ended up with a third place on Friday night and a second on Saturday night. Or no, sorry, a second on Friday night and a fourth place on Saturday night. So it was a good weekend, or a good week. Top, we was in top five at every track except English Creek, and we had fun. We were definitely living like we were racers on the road,
Gypsies.
and everybody hung out after the races till 3 in the morning, 3:30, and you get up the next day and do it all over again. It was fun. I mean, I could definitely get used to that life, but it wears a guy out for sure. I'm still
Yeah.
rating.
Yeah, it's the not sleeping in your own bed and that, and, like you said, on Sunday, it was hot. I was happy, though, that the rest of the week seemed to be much better, was way better temperatures than last year. Last year was miserable. This year, at least, it wasn't quite as hot with not as much humidity as we had last year. And I'm with you too, everywhere. It amazes me at English Creek. There's kids running everywhere. There's little kids driving four-wheelers, and
Yep.
they're zipping here and they're zipping there. And it amazes me that nobody's gotten ran over or hurt or whatever, just even in the pit area, because it's people wall to wall, really. And
Oh,
and they're everywhere.
there had to been, I don't even know how many people in the pits. There had to been 2,000 people in the
Oh
pits.
yeah.
I mean, easy. It,
I would say so, yeah.
it's it, it's it's crowded, but it's good to see that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's just huge to have. You know, it it's just awesome to see. If you've never been to English Creek on a national event, it's just like, I'm sure a lot of you out there have heard of the Knoxville Nationals. It's the Knoxville Nationals of the go kart world.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
it's
is, and you're going out on these little, country roads. I grew up on a farm, so I get it. That's the kind of roads I used to, drive on. And then all of a sudden you kind of come over this hill, and over to the left there's motorhomes and trucks and camper, whatever you can imagine, just one right next to the other, and they're parked every which way. They're not all lined up nice. They're just wherever they can find a spot. And so your daughter Adriana took me around on the four-wheeler, and we gave out a bunch of shirts, which was fun. And so if you see Race Mom shirts at the track, those are some that we gave out. And I've got more. I actually found a whole suitcase full when I was unpacking. That's been in my storage building. So I'll get those up on the site and see if we can get some more of those distributed out there. But that was fun. I got to talk to a lot of the moms, and it was a good night, and the racing was good, and I enjoy coming there. It's a 7-hour drive for me to go from Kalamazoo to Pella or to Knoxville, either one, but it was so worth it. So, you
so
know, I
uh,
know you look forward to that whole week of racing and camping and all of that.
yeah, we do, and a lot of you don't know that I also help maintain my son's cart. I talk a lot about Adriana because Drake, he's just in it for just to be there. He's at the track. He might as well race. He said, but and he understands why all the attention's on his sister. But he had a rough English Creek. He didn't make it either. And Wednesday he did all right. I think he got fourth in the feature on Wednesday, and then Thursday he was running really good. He was started like 13th and was up to fifth. He was running the cushion, best he's ever looked. Jumped the cushion, right front hit the wall, and he went for a nasty tumble. But he ended up, I had to work on his cart the next day and get Adriana's ready while he went to work. And so I maintained two carts every day just so he could show up, and just enjoy racing and not have to work and then come bust his butt. And
Yeah.
so he didn't get a race. So he raced on Friday. We are selling his cart. We had it sold Friday, but the kid wasn't coming till Saturday, so we went ahead and raced it. And the chain broke and broke the motor,
Oh,
and it didn't get sold. So we got to fix it before we sell it. But
yeah.
he's going to move up into the big car world and just race four cylinders, so it's less money and stress. And
And those are fun. Those are fun to race.
oh yeah,
There's really no like I would say there's not a lot of stress in that division because it's people getting started and you're all in the same boat pretty much, and you don't have to put a whole lot of money into your car, and you can race pretty much anywhere. There's tracks, for those kind of cars all over the place. So
Yeah, that's
that'll be good.
he can get a brand new 4 cylinder for $5,000 built ready to go. Which a go kart, you're gonna buy one without a motor for $5,000. So
Right.
and
Right.
it's awesome. And I was with you when you was riding around with Adriana a little bit, and we ran into Deanna Schatz,
Mhm.
or I guess I can't remember what I don't want to pronounce her last name, but it'd be Donnie Schatz's sister.
Yeah.
Super awesome woman, and her daughters are both. She has twin girls that both race, and they both raced at English Creek, and I think Layla got second in the A main in the 250 class. So they're busy,
Okay.
they're busy people. We're trying to get them on the show, but it's hard.
Yep.
It's hard.
Yeah, we are. We'll keep working at them. And, maybe in the off season will be better time for them to be on the show. But we'll keep working at them. I've got a whole list of names that I've been keeping track of that I'm going to work on getting the whole lineup, figured out for the next few weeks so that we can kind of announce who's going to be on because gosh, there's some girls that are just doing amazing things in the racing, and we sure enjoyed we really enjoyed watching those girls race, and the boys too. I got to see Brexton at Bush again race, and I had a chance to talk to Samantha, which I always like to do, and I got a chance to talk to Kelly Earnhardt Miller again, which was fun. And those moms are there just as race moms, and they got race mom shirts too. We handed them out, and they're just like all the rest of the moms there. And it's fun though to get to talk to them and see them there. And yeah. So how much more racing is there for English Creek? Are you just about done there, or you got a
Um,
while?
so Saturday is the season champion night, which we were racing for points there. Um, Adriana's in second. She can't catch first, and she isn't gonna fall out of second. So I don't,
Okay.
I don't. She has an opportunity again Friday night to race the 4 cylinder that she ran last week or the week before. So I think we're gonna do that and pass on English Creek because she wants to enjoy the Iowa State Fair. She's never been.
Oh yeah.
I'm, I know I want to race, but she needs to be able to enjoy some stuff too. So, because you never
Right.
next year she could be racing full time for somebody and not be able to do anything. So, gotta
Yeah.
let her while she can.
Yeah, and there's got to be a balance. That's one of the things that I ask when I interview people for the magazine, especially. And it's all ages of women. It's 15-year-olds and it's 85-year-olds, and there's everything in between. And balance is something that is very difficult because if you love racing, you're just so focused on it that sometimes you let other things slide, like enjoying going to the fair. I love the state fair. I haven't been to a state fair and I can't remember how long, but I went to the Illinois State Fair several different times, back way in the probably 70s and 80s. And I'd love to go back there. That's just something that you should at least experience. And she needs to go do that. She needs to be a teenager, um, but she's also racing. And so sometimes we have to give her a little slack, don't we?
We do, yeah. I mean, I'm 41 and I grew up in the racing world my whole life, so I've never been to the Iowa State Fairs. I'm not going because I'm a duck hunter and we got duck hunting stuff to get ready, but I'm just gonna let her and go enjoy her
Yeah.
teenagehood. And you got to be you can't be a strict racing dad all the time. I guess I know I want her to strive and be the best she can in racing, but she got to be a kid too.
Right. And at her age, and I've been working on the issue of the magazine. I've almost got it ready to go out, and several of the stories in there, I talk to girls and they love racing. and they think about racing. But here's a common theme that I hear from a lot of girls. One of the questions I ask is, have you ever been somewhere where you felt like you didn't fit in? And what did you know and most of the answers to that questions are yes, and it's at school. And a lot of girls that race don't have a lot of friends at school because they're at the racetrack on the weekends instead of going to the movies or going to a party or whatever it might be. And so it's sad. To me, it's sad. I mean, I know that they are great racers and they love racing, and I'm glad about that too. But it it does make me sad. One girl said that um, her classmates kind of made fun of her for being in racing because it's not a sport, and she just ignores them and goes on. Well, I'm sure it still hurts though.
Yeah, yeah. You know, Adriana deals with the friend issue too. Like nobody nobody understands the racing world in her school. Like yeah, this area is big in racing, but nobody in her class understands that. So she runs into that a lot, and I always tell her, you always have your mom and dad. We're your best friends. So you know,
Yeah,
but she gets, she still has friends she can go do stuff with. It's just
yeah,
not, she don't have the BFFs that a lot of girls growing up get to enjoy because her
right.
her race car. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a choice. I mean, it's obviously a choice she made and a choice that she's happy with, and so are these other girls. They're not saying woe is me about it. It's just a fact. And I can remember when I interviewed Megan Meyer. I can't think what her married name is, but she said the same thing about her and Rachel. And she said, we really didn't get to be teenagers because we were always at the racetrack. But that's really paid off for them because they were very serious. They had a dad who did a lot with them and stuff. And so, there's a balance. Some girls want to be the next World of Outlaw champion, and some girls want to race for fun and be able to do other things, and that's okay.
yep.
That's really okay. So,
That's, I give Adriana the ultimatum all the time. I ask her all the time. I'm like, we can race for fun, or we can strive to get you to be a professional. So we can race nonstop or race for fun. And she said, Dad, this is what I want. So if she came up to me today and said, Dad, I'm done racing, I'm not going to be mad. I
yeah.
mean, that'll save me a ton of money anyways, but I'm not going to be mad at her. I said, you have to live the life that makes you happy.
Yeah.
You like, if you're living my life, don't do it. Cause yeah, I'm a big race dad. I'm going to push hard, but don't live racing for me. And she's like, no, this is what I want. So
Yeah.
you got to live the life you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely, for sure. And being a full-time racer isn't for everybody, and that's okay because there's not room for everybody. We have to have people who want to just go to their local tracks and race and keep those tracks going, and then the ones that want to move up. And so yeah, anyway. So English Creek had nationals, so did Exit 7, and so did Viola. And
Yes.
what's the name of that track?
It's called the Viola Boys Backroad Speedway.
Okay. All right.
It's a middle.
So go
It's in
ahead.
the hayfield. The farmer last year, 2 years ago, year and a half, decided he was going to build a racetrack in the middle of his hayfield, and it's growing.
Yeah.
It's a long gravel road to get there, but it's a growing. He's got one of the best cart counts in the area. So
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So while you were doing that on Wednesday, Lori Cutter, who lives in Pella, Lori, she's a friend of ours. She owns Champion Race Promotions, and she spearheaded the women's fan forum at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, and she asked me to be her sidekick and help a little bit. And I'll admit she did 99% of the work, and I did 1% of the work because of everything I had going on. But she's actually listening. Hey, Lori, we're saying hi to you. So she put together a wonderful event for the Women's Fan Forum, and we had a decent crowd. We were hoping for a little more, and I think a little bit different way of promoting it and getting the news out there sooner. I think is going to be the key to people knowing what's happening, because I think there were a lot of people that didn't know what was going on. And so, but she did a great job, and we had some wonderful speakers that day. We had, let's see, Lori McCarl, her husband and boys race at Knoxville. We had Taylor Cool, who is one of our favorite drivers, Lori's and mine. We had, oh gosh, I can't think of all their names, but the gal who is the events person at the Hall of Fame, we had her. We had a gal who is the promotions, I think, social media promotions, that type of thing for, I believe, Casey Kane's race team. Let's see, who else was there? Taylor, that was on our show. Taylor McLean was on and gave a, she has such a compelling story about, oh yeah, Melissa Pennington, that was her name. She works at the Hall of Fame. And then, Taylor McLean, she talks about her brother Brian Clausen and everything. And she's got such a touching story. Every time she tells it, I just think, I know it's hard, but it's so powerful. And so we encourage people to sign up for Driven to Save Lives to be an organ donor. Dana McCarthy was the gal who works for Casey Kane. Thank you, Lori. She's on. She's giving me the names of everybody. And then via Zoom, we were really honored to have Lynn St. James. So Lynn ran many Indy 500s, and she's mentored so many women in motorsports. And so she and my friend Cindy Sisson were on. Cindy didn't get to talk much. She liked being in the background, but Lynn shared a PowerPoint with us, which was really good. And I know that the people that were there really benefited from hearing from all of these women, because they all come into racing from a different perspective. You've got Melissa, who travels and takes that sprint car that they raffle off and travels all over the country by herself, which is scary. She's young, and she's on the road by herself. Then, Lori McCarl, she's a mom, she's a wife, and she talked about how they got started being full time racers. And then, Dana from the promotion side, and then Lynn from like the education and driving. It was really, really a good group of women um, that spoke, and so that was a lot of fun. And then we hung out and we went to the races that night. And of course, there's nothing better than going to Knoxville during Nationals week and watch sprint car racing. And so that was a lot of fun. The weather was absolutely beautiful. The moon shining over the track was just picturesque, and had a really, really great time. Um, love staying with Lori and Charlie. Charlie works the fire safety at Knoxville. And so they are gracious hosts for me when I'm there. And so that's kind of what I did last week. And then I headed home, and so it was a big week of racing for not just you guys with your carts, but lots of sprint car racers in Knoxville. There was a lot of people around.
Yeah, and I haven't experienced Knoxville Nationals. I think I went to the Capitani on Sunday last year. Me and Adriana did with Lori. She introduced us to a ton of drivers, but um, I've never experienced Knoxville because we race all the time. But now the lights, I want to experience Knoxville just for the lights. The lighting show they put on with their new Musco lights. That looks pretty awesome in video. How was it?
Yeah, it was nice. And it was also cool. They had everybody turn their flashlight on their phone, And so it looked like, all these little candles in the stands and stuff. It's just a great experience, and it's a fun track, and the racing's really good, and the people are super nice. I mean, you're in the Midwest, the people are friendly, and they want to tell you all about their team and their car and everything. And so that was a great time. I love that I've been able to be there two different times now. So um yeah, that was good. So um we haven't really talked about what else we were going to discuss, unless if you have something else. I do have some gals that I wanted to give a shout out to. Should I do that next?
Yeah.
All right. So I've been friends with a young gal named Briley Kilmer, and I actually uploaded some pictures, so I'm going to put Briley's picture on, and maybe uh, show. Hmm. Okay, well, I guess I didn't do it right. Let me see if I do this.
It's behind us. There you go.
I wonder how, here, maybe I can do it this way. I'm new at this, so I thought maybe if I did it like this. Okay, well, she's there, back there. I'll try to get these pictures up. I wish I wasn't on and you can see her better, but she, I saw her. She came to the event on Wednesday, and she had been at English Creek, and I didn't even know she was there racing. And so, anyway, she swept the 500 Open Outlaw class, her very first win in that class, and her first weekend in her new cart. She was the youngest one in that class and got it done. And so, I'm really proud of her. Her mom and I have stayed in touch, and I'm glad I finally got to meet her and got to get a picture with her. And then she got a win, and so I'm proud of her for that. And then I wanted to mention about our friend Arjo racing. She did her backpack giveaway, and that was just, you should get on her page and check out backpack giveaway that she did, because I encourage anybody listening, that's such a huge event for them. And it's so easy to do. Everybody, is willing to buy a backpack and put some stuff in it for a kid, and bring it to the racetrack. And so organize it at your local track and help some kids who don't have as much have a nice start to the school year, because we know how school's been. It's been so mixed up and messed up with all the COVID stuff. And so, let's get our kids started off right. And so, I just thought it'd be nice if we could do that, encourage other people to do it. So I know you probably can't see this. I like I said, I don't know how to. Just a second. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know how to remove us from the picture, Brett. I have to practice.
So,
But Pigpen did it again. Charlotte Weimer, she's going to be the cover story in the magazine this month, and she was the feature winner at Exit 7, and just a cool little girl. And I know you know her, and she really thinks a lot of Adriana.
yeah.
Yeah,
Did,
yeah.
did you see the picture they gave her?
Yes, I did. That's on her Facebook page. And
Yep.
so, yeah, if you go there and look, that's really cool that she did that. That was nice. And then on my feed, I saw Morgan Johnson Racing. She's from Elm City, North Carolina, and she qualified 20th out of 27 cars. So she did feel like she was really having that good of a night, but she ended up taking fourth place. And so that was a big win in her book. It wasn't a first place finish, but for her being fourth after she started 20th, that was a really good race for her. So I wanted to mention her. And then I want to talk about Ivy Redmond. Oh, darn. Well, Ivy's Ivy's a little drag racer, and she's just the cutest little thing. I want to try to get her on the show. And she took second place in her drag racing, and she was at Yellowstone Drag Strip. And so her dad Brian and her mom Kara, we're gonna try to get Ivy on the show, because she's quite a little racer, and I wanted to mention her. And then I'm going to talk about Dryden, Michigan is where Katie Hettinger is from. She became the winningest female driver at Hickory Motor Speedway. And that's a very, very big accomplishment. And I've met Katie a couple of times. She's a great young gal. And so she's made some history there at Hickory Motor Speedway. And then I don't have a photo of Miley Joanne, but Miley Joanne Rames, I met her when I went to Yuma last year to the nationals that they had there. It seems like everything's called the nationals, isn't it? They got to come up with a different name. So anyway, so she raced at Fairground Speedway in Cortez, Colorado, August 12th and 13th, which was, last week. And she took first, and there's a picture on her Facebook page. It's Miley Joanne, and check out, what she did, because that's pretty cool. I love seeing these gals take those trophies away from the boys. Now you can almost see all of these ladies. These are the Iron Dames. Now it might be that they're called Doms or whatever it is, how they English pronounce it, but they did something really cool, and I want to share it. There were, in this race that they were in, there were 235 drivers from all over the world. There were 66 GT cars, 32 positions gained, 24 hours of racing through the day into the night, only one all-female lineup. The biggest GT race on the globe, all leading to one victory, the first one in history for an all-female team at the 24 Hours of Spain. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 24 Hours of Spa. I'm sorry, not Spain. So that was pretty cool. I get a lot of, I have a lot of people all across the world that race that I see their posts. And so it's interesting to see what kind of racing goes on in other countries. And I enjoy that part.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Katie Barthel. Katie wins quite often, but I haven't mentioned her before. And she was also at the Fairground Speedway in Cortez, Colorado. She said it was a crazy, crazy race, but she won her heat and her main feature. And I know you can barely see her, but she said, winners get sprinkles. So she had pancakes with sprinkles on them. And she's got a great smile. I know you can't see it very well, but Katie, great job. We're proud of you. And then another gal I think Delaney she might have been one of my very first members of the IWMA. And her name is Delaney Dunn. She races out east, and she said, wow, I won the feature, or I won my heat, and then I won my feature. And that's a big, big accomplishment for Delaney. So she was at Speedway 95 out east. And Delaney, I'm so proud of you, because I've met her a few times at PRI. And so I feel like I really know her in person, and I'm proud of her for getting that win. And then we've got Cameron Wilson. I'm going to keep trying to show the pictures. I'll have to figure out before next time, Brett, how this works. But so Cameron Wilson was at the Mooresville Dragway, Mooresville, North Carolina, of course. And she said, runner up yet again. But hey, runner up's pretty good, don't you think? I think so, especially when, there's so many junior dragsters. There's just hundreds of them out there. And lots of girls are racing junior dragster. But anyway, she was the runner up. So that's still pretty good. I'm proud of you there, Cameron. And then Amber Slagle had this on her Facebook. She says, I'm so excited to announce I will be making my ARCA Racing Sioux Chief Showdown debut at the Milwaukee Mile on August 28th. And she'll be back in the number 24. I can't thank SunWest Construction, MMI Services, and Cook Racing Technologies enough for giving me this opportunity. So I want to talk about that for a minute. There's 3 companies that she mentioned who see the value in sponsoring a woman at the racetrack. Now, I'm sure they could have sponsored anybody. There's everybody at that race ARCA or whatever are looking for sponsors. But they saw something special in Amber. And that's the thing. I know we've talked about it, Brett. We've got to get more companies involved with sponsoring women and seeing the value that those women bring. They're typically better at promoting themselves on social media. They're better at promoting their sponsors, and they typically get a good deal of attention at the racetrack
Yep.
from the announcer and from the fans because they are usually the minority. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, it's we see it a lot too. We have our local sponsors that have been with us for since I raced. They just followed through with the journey, but it's a struggle to get bigger companies on board. Like I've reached out. I don't even know. I've lost count how many I've reached out to that just say that, oh, they're not ready yet, or we're not ready to take that step, or what is the next step? Like how do they expect these girls to get to the next step without help? Like, you know we don't have a lot of money. We're trying to get to the next step, and I know what the next step is, but it's hard to take that leap when you
Mm-hmm.
can't afford it. And that's why you try to find the help to get. There's more talent than just Adriana. I'm just using her as an example, but it's I've seen a lot of girls and heard a lot of girls talk about not being able. McKenna Hassey, she said during a interview one time that, or it was actually at the Pella Racing Rev days that Lori host. She said it's hard to get a corporate sponsor, and
Mm-hmm.
finally got after 9 months of talking to High V, she finally got High V to do something. So
Mm-hmm.
like McKenna is like in my book, like she helps all the little kids. Like she gives them like
Yeah.
go. She has 5 go-karts she gives them. She does YRA, which is Youth Racers of America, where she takes them to tracks and has outlaw drivers work with them, or NASCAR drivers, or
Yeah.
she does all this stuff. And she is a very marketable woman. She's a Ninja Warrior on,
Yeah.
American Ninja Warriors. And like, if she can't get sponsored or partnered with somebody, how to do that? That makes these other girls be like, man, if she can't get sponsored, I'm not going to be able to get sponsored. It's just,
Right.
I don't know what we need to do as ambassadors to women to help them, but it's we got to figure out something for all these girls out there, because there's a lot of women out there and young girls that have talent that need to go places, and
Mm-hmm.
because the financing ain't there.
Absolutely. And you know, we know there's money out there. I know there is because people that I talk to, you know, they tell me they're out there. It's just that you've got to find the right person. And like I say, it's true about anything in life. You've got to find the one person who cares.
Yep.
Whether it's, my washing machine, brand new washing machine is leaking water and vibrating. So you know how you call and you get passed from one person to the next?
Yep.
Same thing with, I got to find the one person at LG who cares enough to send somebody to fix it. Same thing with racing. When you're calling Hy-Vee or you're calling Coca-Cola or you're calling the little company in your hometown, you've got to talk to the person. You've got to find that person who cares enough to see that there's such potential for businesses to be involved in racing. And it's not just being on the car. That's minimal. It's getting announced at the racetrack. It's the social media that the driver is going to use to promote them, you know. So, yeah, it's frustrating because
Yep.
as we talked about, we're trying to find the same kind of people,
Yep.
to keep us going, and it's frustrating, but we're going to figure it out. There's got to be some answers, to get those sponsors on board. So we just have to keep working at it, and we'll get it figured out for sure at some point. So
Just
those
gonna
are,
take
go ahead.
just gonna take time, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
I'm dealing with it on a. I'm not gonna say their name, but a company right now that I actually went and talked to the owner while we were at English Creek and asked her, what was going on. That we've been running their advertisement for a while, and we
Yeah.
something was going to happen, and nothing's happened. And I've reached out to all of their contacts and haven't heard a thing. And she told me, she's like, I'm going to email them. I'm going to email this girl and tell her that you're reaching out. And I'm like, "Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's just a way to get me away from you or whatever." And then the next day she came up to me and she's like, "Hey, it's not just you that's not getting uh, reached out to, because I've emailed and they haven't even emailed me back." So
Oh dear.
she's like, "I will let you know. I have your contact information. So when I hear something, you'll know." But it's
Yeah.
it feels like that. You just got to go through 100 people to find the one person that cares.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's so time consuming and it's so frustrating, and when you're passionate about something, you want everybody else to be passionate about it. And you can't force that on people, but you just have to share from your heart and be authentic and tell them why it's important. And then you just have to hope that somewhere along the line, somebody's going to feel the same way that you do about it. And it's just, there's a book that I read one time, and it something about, you get 1,000 no's before you get the yes that really, changes your life. And so we'll just have to keep working at it.
You just
So
can't let it frustrate you, like,
no,
at all. You just got to act like everybody's like, "How do you get all these people?" I'm like, I'm not afraid to ask. I went to,
right,
I went to the owner of a big company that's a very well known person and talked to them about why I'm not getting sponsored by their company. Like,
yeah,
or why we're not partnered, I should say. I don't like it. I don't like. I used to call it sponsored. I don't like that word no more.
I don't either.
It's a partnership. So,
It
but
is. It is a
I'm
marketing partner where you help us, and we're going to market your product to the people that we come in contact with.
you
So
be afraid to go talk to somebody. That's all. Like, they might say no or they might say yes. How do you know if you don't go talk to them?
right, the answer is always no if you don't even ask.
Yep.
Yeah. So Lori mentioned, and I was going to mention this, Lori, but thank you for the reminder that there's a Women with Drive conference coming up October 5th and 6th in Concord, which is near Charlotte in that area. And my friend Cindy Sisson and Lynn St. James is involved. They're putting it on. I went to one last year in Nashville that they did right before the Indy race. It was an amazing, amazing conference. They had some of the top women in all types of motorsports there speaking, and even the people in the crowd were pretty prestigious women. And I was just lucky enough that I was told about it and had a chance to go. And so Lori and I are headed there October 5th and 6th for that conference. And if you Google Women with Drive conference or Google it, you'll be able to find out about it. And I would really encourage anyone to sign up for it, go to it. It is the Wednesday and Thursday before the races in Charlotte. But if you want to stay and go to the NASCAR races, but for sure the 5th and 6th are going to be a really good conference to go to, and it's worth your time. So wanted to mention that as well. And that's all I had. So I'm going to turn it over to you. What else can we talk about?
Oh, so one of our favorite young girls is Bad Addison. Um, she picked up, I think she picked up 3 wins over the last week, which,
Wow.
I mean, she does awesome, and I still love watching her TikToks and her.
Yeah.
Just check out Bad Addison Racing. You'll enjoy it. It's worth the follow on
It
Facebook.
is. It is. She is. I laugh out loud. I
Yeah,
mean, she just makes me laugh out loud. She's the cutest thing. And she's so serious about her racing, but she's just so fun. And so, yeah, definitely
she-
follow her.
yeah, and then Abby Gunter. We had her on the show.
Yeah.
She don't get a race that much because they don't race a whole bunch around her area, but she ran Millbridge again. I think she ended up fifth at Millbridge, and then on dirt, and then like August 2nd, she ran the champ carts on asphalt, and she brought home third. So she
Oh,
does, for the little that she gets to race, she does good. And
she
she still,
does.
she still promotes herself on the Living Like Outlaws page every week.
Right.
And so I'm gonna give Wes a shout out. Go ahead and go
Yeah.
follow the Living Like Outlaws page too, which is
Yeah.
Wes Irwin's. It's the
Yeah.
it's the night or the World of Outlaws souvenir hauler. The guy that drives that, he started
Mhm.
behind the scenes page, and he sponsors like 7 young girls or girls and boys, and so he's trying to make them become something, and
Yeah.
he's got some pretty big people on his side. He's just trying to get the ball rolling. So any
Yeah.
likes and follows he can get will help a lot of people. And then
Yeah.
you were talking about Briley Kilmer. I actually met them guys. They came to English Creek a couple weeks before we went to Oklahoma, and then they're from Oklahoma, so
Yeah.
we went and raced there on their track, and they're just a fun. That whole crew is, that it's called the ROK chassis, but um, they bring like 15 carts to English Creek and have 15 different drivers, and Briley's one of them. And her dad races in the same class as her, and I have videos from this weekend where she's beating her dad, and she does extremely well in them
Mhm.
in both classes, and she's a good little driver, and she's gonna go places too if she keeps
Yeah.
up work. So she's there.
Yeah.
I have a picture of her and Adriana next to each other. It's her mom wanted me to make sure I got that, but she is. They're a fun family to be around.
Yeah. Yeah, they are, and just I've only met them through social media, but I followed Briley pretty seriously, the last couple of years, and so she came up to me after the event on Wednesday, and I was so surprised to see her, and I said, "Well, Briley, I didn't even know you were racing at English Creek. I would have found her, but gosh, Brett, there were so many people there. If you didn't know somebody was there, just running across each other would have been hard because there was just so many people around. But I'm glad I finally got to meet her in person. She's a sweetheart. So,
Yeah, she is for sure. It's always yes sir, yes ma'am.
uh huh.
It's a, I love that. I love going to the South or talking to the people from this because that they're so respectful that way. Like why weren't we brought up that way? But
Yeah.
it's
I don't know. It's a lost art, that's for sure. Yeah. So, what are you doing this weekend? You racing somewhere?
as of now, Adriana, it's supposed to rain, but I think Friday night we're racing Davenport Speedway. The same car owner, Trent Labarge, has a 4-cylinder. He wants Adriana to race again. He's given up his race nights for her to race. Um, we don't expect a whole bunch. And actually, I did forget to mention Adriana. The Friday before we left for nationals, we were at this Columbus Junction Speedway, which is a big car track, and they do a powder puff that night. And I told Adriana she didn't have to go, just stay home. And if I found somebody, she could come over. Well, I went and talked to this guy that's about Adriana's height, and I'm like, I know you don't know us, you've seen us, but would you let my daughter powder puff your modified? And it was a sport mod. And he's like, heck yeah. And his name is Mike Bear. I'm going to give him a shout out because what he did was awesome. He went out for his feature, was running like 22nd. Everybody's beating and banging, and he pulled in and he acted like something was broke. And just so we started looking at it, and we got after we found nothing was broke, and Adriana went out and ran the powder puff against a couple girls that have raced before in them cars, and she won, which she did a really good job. But after the race were over, Mike's like, I'm going to tell you, nothing was broken in that car. I wanted your daughter to live her dream. And
Oh,
so it was like, that was awesome of him to give up he quit like 10 laps into a 20 lap feature for her to be able to race. Like, he don't even know us. He just
yeah.
her be able to drive. So, and then Saturday night she got a race in West Liberty in the 4-cylinder. So, imagine being a 16-year-old girl, never driving a clutch ever, besides your go kart, which is a clutch, you just stay in the same gear, and going out onto a half-mile dirt track. with a whole bunch of other guys, no other women, and trying to figure out how to shift the gears. And
Mhm.
she couldn't get it. It frustrated her. So that was in hot laps. So then the heat race rolls around. We worked with it, but when you get on the track and you get overwhelmed, you forget. So
Yeah.
she got didn't even get to make a lap. She was upset, like embarrassed. A lot of people came to watch her, and I'm like, they don't expect you to do good. They're just here to support you. So
Right.
she was ready to quit. Now I was gonna jump in and race it because the car owner wasn't there. He brought the car to our house, left it, told us to race it. But you know, I did good. Talked to Adriana and through it. We went out and drove through the pits. She ran through all the gears. I let her do it by herself. She went out and got last. Was running last, and the green white there was a cop and there was a green white checker, and she actually started like 16th and made it up to 11th, but 11th was last by the end of everybody's wrecks. So coming around the last turn on the checker flag, this guy got beside her to pass her that was behind her, and she floored it to pass him back and ended up beating him to the line. And you, the crowd, I could hear the crowd and I could see all the people around us that seen us struggling all night. It was like she won the Daytona 500.
Mhm.
All the like, you get 10th place and everybody's cheering for you. It
Yeah.
was like overwhelming as a dad, and but
You know, doesn't it just warm your heart to know that there's people like that out there?
yeah,
And and I don't care. There is no other sport like motorsports. You're
yeah,
not going to find somebody to give your daughter their football helmet and pads so she can do football. I mean, you're just not, it's just not going to happen. But in motorsports, people get how, like you have a dream of running this kind of car, doing this, or running a powder puff. And they understand because they've had dreams. And somebody might have done something nice for them and now they're passing it on. And that's a great story. That guy deserves a medal for being kind,
yeah. So you
just awesome.
put Adriana in a $8,000 car
Hmm.
without even knowing her and told her to go race it like it's her own, like, which she's respectful and she didn't want to wreck it. So she pushed it to the limit where if one of them other cars would have caught her, she would have raced hard. But it's just so awesome to see a guy we don't know put her in an $8,000 car, maybe even more. I don't know how much it costs, but a lot can happen on that, and there's people out there, and he wants, he's like, someday you might be just end up driving this car because he's getting to the age where he might be ready to quit. And so
Hmm.
it's just awesome. And then my buddy giving up his racing to let Adriana race on a big track, and
Yeah,
so there's awesome people out there. I mean, it's
there
good.
are. There really are. Yeah. I love that story. That's great. That's one that you're going to remember forever.
Yeah, she will too. It's awesome. So
Yeah, she will. Well, Brett, I don't have anything else on my list tonight. We'll have a guest next week. I'm not sure who it'll be, but I'm working on that, and I know you are too. And it's busy race season right now. There's a lot of end of the year stuff going on, and so we'll keep working on getting some guests, and then we'll get some of these people that are super busy in the off season and get them on the show. So I had some people reach out to me today that are from Australia that have pretty good stories. These two gals, and they want to be on the show. So I don't know what time 7 p.m. Eastern time is in Australia, but I'm thinking it's like early morning maybe. But
I know. I think it's like 9 in the morning. When Fiona was on the show, it was like 9 in the morning for
yeah,
her.
yeah. So we'll see if we can get those gals on and hear their stories. And again, if you're out there and you know somebody who should be or would be a good story for the magazine, for sure, reach out to Brett or I, and we'll see if we can get a hold of them. And I moved into my house. I'm pretty much got things put away. I'm probably 90% done, and so I'm going to be back working Women's Motorsports Network pretty hot and heavy now for the rest of the year. So send those names and we'll try to get them on. It'd be fun to hear who you think we should have on the show.
Yeah, if you know any businesses out there that you think we should reach out to that would want their name mentioned on the show, send us a private message as well so we can reach out to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So that would be a huge help for us to keep going because nothing's free, is it?
No, we take
Nothing's free.
we take a lot of time out of our days to promote women, and you know,
Yeah.
I just had a guy the other day. He came up to me at the racetrack and he's like, "You're part of that women's motorsport network, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm the vice president of sales. I just haven't really done nothing." He's like, "Isn't it weird being a guy promoting?" I'm like, it may sound weird, but I'm here because my daughter is a woman racer, and I know how hard it is, and I want to make it easier for all women. So if any of you think it's weird that I'm here strictly to promote women and help you guys out.
No, it's not weird. And you know, it's surprising. So I've issues with Facebook. It's not letting me share, and I am not sure why. And so when I hit the share button, it takes me to the page I want to share it to, but then it won't the share button doesn't show up. And so I've been messing around with that. And I happened to run across one of the insights, that gives you all your statistics. And 57% of the people that are following us are women and 43% are men. So that's it's not 50-50, but it's pretty darn close. There's a lot of men that are supportive of women in motorsports. And so we have to give them a shout out because they're just as important as those women that we support. And without those men supporting the women, they wouldn't probably have as much help as they have. And lots of dads out there getting their daughters involved in motorsports, teaching them about how to put, parts together and about tires and all those kinds of things. And so, got to give a shout out to all those guys too.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm going to have my husband take me somewhere for dinner because we haven't had anything to eat and it's 8 o'clock at night and he's probably got a hungry stomach. And so we're going to go eat and we'll get some great guests lined up over the next few weeks. And Brett, you have a good week and we'll talk to everybody next week on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm going to kill all these flies. You see me?
I know. I have one too. They like you, Brett. That's all I can say. So,
Okay.
yeah. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Yep. See you guys.